Don't be fooled by the Watchmen TV trailer. With HBO's hit series Game of Thrones coming to an end, the folks behind the cable network are scrambling to replace the biggest water cooler show of the decade as quickly as possible, and what better way to fill the void left by one literary genre show with a devoted fan base than with another literary genre show with a devoted fan base? Watchmen. Now this week, fans got their first real look at the new adaptation, and it left many scratching their heads. Where is Dr. Manhattan? Isn't this supposed to be set in the 80s? And what's up with all the dudes in the Rorschach masks? To which we say, don't be fooled by the trailer, because this ain't your daddy's Watchmen. It's something entirely new. Now, for those of you who never read the original comic series, Watchmen was a 12-issue miniseries written by Alan Moore and drawn by Dave Gibbons. Known for deconstructing superhero comics and its overt adult themes, it's considered to be one of the seminal works in comic history. Long thought to be unadaptable, the series made its way to the big screen, care of Zack Snyder in 2009, to mixed reviews. So what is this new TV series, and how does it fit into the overall mythology of the franchise? Well, first off, the series is not a sequel to the movie, but instead will use the Watchmen books as the source material to continue the story. Series creator Damon Lindelof, one of the minds behind Lost and The Leftovers, took to his Instagram last year to explain his thought process behind the show. "We have no desire to adapt the 12 issues Mr. Moore and Mr. Gibbons created 30 years ago." And then he goes on to add, "Those issues are sacred ground, and they will not be retread, nor recreated, nor reproduced, nor rebooted. They will, however, be remixed, because the bass lines in those familiar tracks are just too good, and we'd be fools not to sample them. Those original 12 issues are our Old Testament. When the New Testament came along, it did not erase what came before it." And you can certainly see that in play in this first trailer for the show. We know that the TV series will take place in modern day, and it appears that the effects of the book's final events are being felt. So let's dig into the trailer a little bit. Now, in the opening shot of the trailer, we are introduced to a group of men all wearing homemade Rorschach masks, while one man cryptically speaks, "We are no one, we are everyone, and we are invisible," which gives off a little bit of that V for Vendetta vibe, which, ironically enough, is also a comic by writer Alan Moore. In the final panels of the Watchmen comic, it's revealed that Rorschach left his journal to be found by the right-wing newspaper The New Frontiersman, and it appears in this show that this action has spawned some sort of doomsday cult or militia. As we continue through the trailer, we get a close-up of a burnt watch while we hear the words TikTok being chanted under the music. And although we don't see him in the teaser, the watch is an obvious reference to our big blue boy, no, not the genie, Dr. Manhattan. We would imagine part of the thrust of the show will be about what happened to Dr. Manhattan. Next up, we see a line of police officers wearing bright masks in that Watchmen yellow. As to why they are wearing the yellow masks, plenty of thoughts come to mind. They could be honoring the superheroes and vigilantes that saved the planet, or it could be that the masks let them hide their identities like superheroes, which allows them to act without consequence. It definitely looks like superheroes have been either deputized or been brought into the fold, as we later see Regina King's character strap a badge over the belt of her costume. Of course, none of this explains the dude wearing the panda head. Seriously, what is that guy's deal? We then get a few shots of cops at a funeral as they lower a casket into a grave, mixed with a shot or two of the Rorschach militia marching with guns, before we cut to a shot of a futuristic version of the Washington Monument. Outside of the cool visual, we're not 100% sure what this means, but we do like the take from our friends over at Polygon. They suspect that if you take a bird's eye view of the monument, it forms the symbol on Dr. Manhattan's forehead. For now, that works for us. Now, the next shot that caught our eye was of this shiny gentleman. Based on the character descriptions, we believe that this is an original character created for the show called Looking Glass, who is played by Tim Blake Nelson. Later in the trailer, we see a close-up of him as images of soldiers and the moon landing play behind him. Not sure who is reflected in his face, but if we had to guess, we suspect it might be Jeremy Irons' character Ozymandias, a carryover from the comics. Moving along in the trailer, we get another montage of images while a voiceover warns of a reckoning as the TikTok chant is intertwined with actual old-timey alarm clocks going off. We see a carnival covered in dead people, which definitely feels like a callback to the final moments of the comic after the space octopus destroys New York City. We get a better look at Ozymandias meditating, Regina King kicking ass, a shot of a skull and crossbones flag, which is a nod to the Tales of the Black Freighter comic within the pages of the Watchmen book, then the Rorschach boys firing off heavy weaponry, and a rather large object crashing down from the sky. Taking a closer look at that object, now we can't say with certainty, but it does appear to be Night Owl's owl ship, especially when you look at the windows on the front. As the trailer finishes up, the TikTok chant with the Rorschach cult builds to a head, ending on the title reveal. We are then treated to a button of Don Johnson making a joke about the end of the world. Overall, it looks like Lindelof and company are leaning in hard to create something new and not rehash what we've seen before, and honestly, we are on board to see if they can pull this off. Watchmen is considered by many to be one of the greatest graphic novels of all time by subverting superhero expectations, and if this show can build on that success and find its own way to do the same with TV, it looks like HBO might have another Game of Thrones style success on their hands. But what do you folks think? Are you excited for the Watchmen adaptation coming to TV? Are you a fan of the comic? And are you reading the pseudo-sequel to the comic, Doomsday Clock? Let's discuss. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and mash that little bell to get notified every time we go live with the show or drop a new video. And speaking of HBO, don't forget to tune into our Game of Thrones after show on Monday, All Kings Considered. We're breaking down the moments of Westeros, the good, the bad, and the Bran. Catch All Kings Considered live Mondays at noon Pacific on Nerdist YouTube and Geek and Sundry's Twitch.